Madrijan and Juanito is my nickname in Mexico, where I was 2 weeks ago and hope to get back to soon. But I'm back in Asheville, North Carolina, where I lived for 16 years from 2004 to 2020. And right now I'm in the hospital dealing with a not uterine, no, it's been a couple lifetimes, I think, since I had a uterus. A urological uh, urinary tract infection, UTI. It's got the really good part about this hospitalization is that they have taken it serious. That I've been having a bunch of these since I first experienced my renal shutdown, March 3rd, and these things can cause all kinds of things. And I've been saying since March 3rd that I feel sick, weak, dizzy, and I just saw from a little AI search I did online that UTIs absolutely can cause that feeling of just feel sick, weak. So I think it's had to do with that, and it does have to do with me slurring my words, which has been just really the last 2 months. Uh, Lots of people are saying, yeah, they'll do that to you also. So I'm attempting to tell the story of this hospital that I'm in, excuse me, right now, Mission Hospital in Asheville, North Carolina. I've just had two really, really good experiences here, where a week ago and now this week they've been absolutely on top of stuff, so sharp. The PAs, the nurses, all of them excellent. But 5 years ago I had a pretty terrible experience here, and I've been building up to telling that. I just did part one, which told the whole story of 30 years of being misdiagnosed as bipolar. The part I'm telling now is about the period from June 26th of 2019, when I had a huge spiritual wake-up experience, and then March 28th of 2020, COVID had shut Asheville down, and I left Asheville for the high mountains. This is all the amazing experiences that happened during that time, and it's before September of 2020, which is when I had my bad experience with the ER here. So a lot of things happened during that time. I've been devoted to homeless issues and homeless people for a long time. As a psychologist back in Chicago, like 25 years ago, I got a gig where I spent all Saturday at a homeless shelter for women. Long term, they'd be there a year or two to get their lives together. And I was delivering therapy on a Saturday to usually 2, 3 women. And the agency was paying me for that. So that was my first foray into really learning the life of homeless people. In Asheville, my last 3 years in Asheville, I lived in Battery Park Apartments, wonderful old Grand Hotel of the South, converted into senior apartments. And my best friend there was Diana Buchanan, who still lives there. And Diana had been homeless most of her life before moving in there. So from getting to know her really, really well, I learned a lot about homelessness. So the hook is, I was in Asheville until spring of 2020, then the high mountains for another year, and coming back to Asheville. It was in spring of 2021 that I left Western North Carolina and began my big travels, which landed me in Mexico. And so now, 4 years later, I'm back here for medical treatment. And it's a wild trip to be confronted with the places that at the beginning of all my changes, that year that so much happened for me, I'm around the anchors of what happened back there and the hospital here. So, Diana, and then I took in a friend who I had been roommates with before at his house. He had a lovely old house that I rented a room from him. But at this point, he was a friend from church who was I diagnosed that he was living out of his car. I said, "Are you living out of your car?" "Yeah." I said, "Well, come stay with me. I've got lots of room here." So he came and stayed with me in my apartment for a couple, 3 months. And we were so good for each other. Oh, we talked. And he was a big hiker, and he got me out in the mountains hiking. And now we're back in touch again, and he's just so good for me. What a good friend. And then Eric Freeman, 3 nights ago, I walked all night. It was Wednesday night, and this is Saturday, so a couple nights ago. Wednesday night, I walked all night because I had no place to stay. And I walked by the bench downtown Asheville where I first met Eric Freeman, Carolina blues boy, brilliant acoustic blues guitarist, big strapping black man from Virginia, country boy. And he was playing so good, and I adore the buskers in Asheville and adore dancing to their music. And I ran 2 blocks to go, who's this? Who's playing so good? And we became friends. And when he turned up homeless a month later, I took him into my place. And so many changes because he was badass. He mostly lived on the street his whole life. Heart of gold, but tough, a fighter when he needed to be. And we just brought out the badass in each other and had so much fun with each other, and big changes for me. I threw my first punch ever at a guy who insulted Eric, went to jail, was booked, never spent time. I spent a bunch of hours in the holding cell there, but they released me. The cop giving me a ride to the station to book me said, "So let me get this straight. You punched that racist neighbor of yours so that your black friend wouldn't have to because you figured the justice system would go easier on you." "Yeah, that's right." She says, "Awesome. Good work." Because she understood. My nice progressive liberal friends don't understand that sometimes violence can be necessary. But cops know that, and she knew that. And what changes that produced in me? Astonishing. And I'm talked out, and it's going on 8 minutes, and I think that's a good installment right there. Yeah, we'll call that a wrap. Okay, thanks.